Okay, welcome back. So John is back. He's going to start talking about cleaning and returns.
Okay, thanks, Chad. All right. Let me just get to the right spot in the thing here. Okay, so the CR and the CX Combine, the cleaning shoe is very, very similar between the two. In fact, in a lot of cases, it's the same. What we've got here is it's a self-leveling cleaning shoe.
How'd it go?
The idea behind the self-leveling cleaning shoe is it keeps the shoe level on side hills up to, I believe it's 17 degrees, 17% slopes. By keeping the shoe level, we keep the crop mat even side to side on the shoe and don't have the crop fall to one side and then have it all blow off and lose our sample and start having losses. So that's the main reason for that. There is two different types of cleaning shoes here, and we actually have both here today. If anybody wants to see the difference between the two, we can kind of go a little bit more in depth here, but this should show it on here as well. What we have here on the this system right here is what we call the Opticlean cleaning shoe, and that is what is in this new combine over here. The other system that's over here, this is what we call the aggressive shake cleaning shoe, and that's in this older machine over here. Both work very well. The Opticlean cleaning shoe has been the shoe that we've been bringing over from Europe. So it's in the Belgium-built combines, and it's also in the CX combine as well, too. The aggressive shake shoe is the shoe that we had for many, many years. It was built in Grand Island, Nebraska. Was optimized more for corn, but then set up for wheat, is what they basically had done, is they modified it to work in wheat, and it worked very, very well. The Opticlean system is designed for small grains. So it is actually a true small grain cleaning shoe. Basically, the difference between the two is how the grain pan shakes. If you were to look up the back end of the combines, both of them would look identical. They're both self-leveling shoes, and they both look identical. The sieves are the same, the sieves are actually interchangeable between the two. But the grain pan shakes in the opposite direction on the Opticlean system. So what that means is on the aggressive shake shoe, or the older shoe that we used to use up here on, when I say up here, I mean in Western Canada, on that shoe, the grain pan and the top sieve all shake as one unit. Whereas on the Opticlean shoe, the grain pan shakes the opposite direction of the upper shoe. So it does this. And that shoe has been more optimized for small grains, and hence that's what we've been selling here for the last few years. So it's been a very good cleaning shoe for us. All right, now on these shoes, there is a tailing system where we have these doors, and I've got a couple of them here with me. These are your rethrash doors that go in. As you can see, I don't know if you can see it there or not on the camera, but they are a mirror image of each other. They're not the same. So there is a right and a left here, and we have to make sure we get them in the combine the right way. Now, from the factory, we don't mark them, unfortunately, but the dealer here has been good at marking them for you, right and left and top, so you know which way to orientate them and put them in the combine. Now, if you don't have that, and you're looking at them going, gosh, I don't know how those go in, which way do they go? Okay, so I'm going to explain it to you quickly how that works. So what you would do is you would look at the spikes on this door. There's spikes all over the place, and there's this little area here where there's none. This area right here is where we want the cross auger underneath the combine feeding material into these things. And then it goes through this way and up. Now the reason why that's important is if I flip this thing around, it would actually go in, or pardon me, it would go in on the other side on the wrong way. And then the cross auger would be trying to push material into here. Now, it's not going to hurt the combine will run properly, you're not going to wreck anything, but what you will notice if these are in backwards is the tailings plug very easily. So if you first get into your wheat crops where you need these things, and you right away notice that your tailings are plugging, this is the first thing I would do, is make sure that these are in the right way. Okay, so once we've got them in, I guess I only need the one. Once we've got these in, there is some adjustments to it. All these little bolts on here have all got slots on them. So once we get these in, it kind of shows it on there, but once this is installed, if we look up here on this screen, on the bottom of the tailings processor, there's this little window right here. It takes a 10 mil wrench to just crack that nut, and then you can open that little window up, and you can get in there and you can see the spikes in there. Now what we're doing in there is you want to measure the gap from the spikes on the rotor to this concave. And we're trying to set that clearance in there. We're looking for about 3/16 to 1/4 of an inch, or basically as tight as you can get them in there without them hitting and making a grinding noise. Now, the reason why that adjustment is important, especially on machines that have some hours on them, is if you've been doing a lot of P's, a lot of cutting on the ground, and there's been a lot of dirt going through there, those spikes on that rotor can wear. So you may need to readjust this to get your tailings, get the tailings performance that we're looking for. Okay, so now to make that adjustment is you would just loosen these bolts on the ends, and then this will slide up and down in there, and you can get that adjustment. Okay, so once you've got that done, there is actually one more adjustment, and this one everybody tends to forget about, is these little L brackets on the back side here have got slots on them too. What these do is they go up and they capture the sides, capture the walls of the processor and hold them in. Okay, so you can adjust those to kind of hold it together. And that adjustment also needs to be made on the smooth doors. When you put the smooth door in for canola, you can make that adjustment as well too in those L brackets to help hold those walls in a little bit tighter. May help with some leaks that do tend to happen in that area. Okay, now when we're trying to figure out issues with the cleaning shoe, one of the tools that we do have is what we call a kill stall. Kill stall, what we're doing here is we can shut down the machine under full load and then get out and look at the shoe. We can actually look at more than the shoe. We can look at the rotors, we can look at a lot of things. But quite often the cleaning shoe is where we're looking here. So in order to properly do a kill stall, depends on the age of the machine that you have. So the first CR combines that we built, the CR 970s, the first generation ones, you can tell those because you had the keypad on the right-hand console that navigated through the monitor. On that console, what you would do is you go up here where you got the plus and minus keys right here, and you just push them together and hold them. And I don't know, 5-6 seconds, and the engine will die. And you'll just come to a stop. On the newer machines where we put the color display in, so this would be like a 970 type of a combine. You go into the calibration menu, you go to the calibration menu, and right here there's a window there called engine kill stall. And then there'll be a confirmation menu that'll come up, you just say yes, and then it'll shut it down. The newer combines, so basically anything with the new cab on it, there's a new menu in there, it's called procedures. We just moved it into there, it's the same thing, you just go in there and acknowledge it. That's the proper way to do a shutdown. You don't want to hit the key, because when you hit the key, you kill all the electronics and it brings on the park brake, and you'll just come to a screeching stop, and that just messes everything up. So we don't want that. Can somebody advance this? Oh, never mind. Okay, so this is just an example here of things to look at in a kill stall. What we're doing here is we're actually checking for losses on the ground. So here we're looking at pre-harvest losses. Then right here we're looking at header losses. And then back here we would have thrown a pan and we're looking for, threshing losses. One of the things to keep in mind right here when you're looking at thrashing losses, is you need to determine where they're coming from. Because you've got two places on the combine where your thrashing losses can come from. You've got the rotor or the thrashing side, and then you've got the cleaning side. So you have two different places. You need to determine where it's coming from. Don't just automatically assume it's the cleaning shoe. A lot of times it could actually be rotor loss when you think it's shoe loss. So make sure you determine where it's coming from. Now the easiest way to do that is just drop the straw and don't chop it, and just leave the chaff spreading. So spread the chaff and just drop the straw, and then you can, if you still see a lot of losses there, then you know it's coming from the thrashing system and not from the cleaning system. Good example there. This here, what we're doing is we're looking inside the combine, and we're looking at what the machine would look like after a kill stall. Where this guy's got his arm stuck in here, this is the concave area, so we're looking at kind of the grain pan here. You see the grain pan is totally covered, it's fairly even. And then on the cleaning shoe, this is the pre-sieve area, but this is the sieve area. The front third of the sieve should be clean, should be clear. And again, it should be fairly even across in there. Okay. I've got a couple of apps here that you guys can put on your phones. These have been available. This one actually has been available for a few years. It's been updated now. These are free apps that you can get for either Apple or Android phones. The first one is what we call New Holland Harvest Excellence. Now what this app will do is you go in there, you set up your machine, the machine that you have, and what this will do is it will help you with setting the combine. It'll give you the settings for the machine right on your phone. No, we used to hand out it was a paper card with a slide thing on it where you could get all your settings off of it. It was really nice and really handy to have, but I mean, we've all got our phones in our pockets, so now we've got this nice app for our phones. And this one's been updated. Actually, I think it has the CX combines in there too, so it's got all the updated information in there. The second one that I have is called a loss calculator. Now this is a fairly new app. I haven't even had a chance to go in there and play with it yet, but this one will help you determine how much loss you have. After you throw a pan and you count your kernels or weigh them, tell it the size of the sample that you collected and the size of the header you have, and it'll help you determine your losses. I haven't really had much of a chance to play with this one yet. It came out later last year and I never got a chance to play with it in the field, so I'm hoping to play with this one this fall. Believe that's all I had here. The biggest thing with the cleaning system that I wanted to mention too, to anybody that is using an IntelliSense combine, especially when you get to canola. Quite often I hear the complaints, I don't like how it's setting the fan, I don't like quite how the pre-sieve is set. There is some losses there. I'm kind of questioning whether this is working or not. Okay, first of all, what I would say is if you're uncertain, please throw a pan and just verify what's going on. The IntelliSense system is only as smart as the information that we give it back. So you do still have to throw pans, you do still have to give it some feedback. But if you think the settings are not quite right and it is throwing grain over, the first thing that I would suggest is this. Upper sieve calibration and pre-sieve calibration are very important, especially when you get to canola. I have found several times by taking 5 minutes and doing those two calibrations, you'll fix 99% of the problems that tend to show up in canola with the cleaning system. Usually the number one issue I hear is there's losses, my fan speed's too high, and the pre-sieve's open too much. The pre-sieve's open too much, I agree with you. Go calibrate it, and then I'll bet you it'll work better. That's usually what corrects it. And the top sieve. Don't necessarily have to do the bottom sieve, but the top sieve and the pre-sieve. Okay?
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Just because there's a lot of times customers will get their combine out in the field and the sieves are out of calibration.
Okay.
Say, well, it's supposed to be done at the shop.
Yes, okay, so good point. They are done at the shop.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't know a service department out there that doesn't calibrate the sieves at PDI. They are done at PDI. Brand new machines tend to wear in. The linkages will wear, all the pivot points start to wear, and the actual measured opening can start to change a little bit against the calibrated value in the monitor. And even just over time, the calibration just tends to
Well, these can be calibrated in November, sent out, sit in the shed till next September.
update, and then there'll be a software update that goes in June before they go into the field. Yeah, and then
Important to check regardless.
it's very important to check them. And the pre-sieve and the upper sieve can honestly be calibrated in 5 minutes. It does not take long to do, and honestly, it fixes most problems that we have with these things. And the sieves are more sensitive than the concave is. Good question, Jeff. Thank you. And it's not always the service department's fault, because they did do their job when it came out to you. It's just over time the calibration does tend to kind of go away, and it does need to be redone. Yeah. And sometimes switching crops too. For some reason the calibration just isn't there. Because it was working fine in wheat, and then when you go to canola, it's like, well, what happened? It's all kind of all over the place. And, yeah.
Is there any advantage of taking the grain hump out? Like, why is it there?
The grain hump is actually, you're talking the tent that's on the grain pan. That is put on there for small grains. For corn combines, that's actually taken out. It's there more as a small grain thing. If you find the machine works better without it, great. It's not a huge deal. The way the rotors spin in there and put the material down, they do tend to load heavy in the center of the grain pan. So the idea behind that is to spread that out while it's still in the grain pan before it gets to the sieves. That's the idea behind it. But I mean, if you're in a lighter crop, like say a really light crop, and we may run into this fall, where it takes too much material to the outside of the shoe, and then it's overloading the outsides of the shoe and it's light in the middle, that'd be a spot to maybe just pull it. It's only 8 bolts or something, and the whole thing comes right out.
So you should be able to see that on the kill stall then.
You should be able to in a kill stall, absolutely, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, good question.